As you know, ballot initiative 1A is going to appear before the voters this coming November. And if approved, it will have a significant impact on the Sheriff's Office, primarily in the area of staffing, but also some other critical needs. It's certainly an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. And if approved, it has such a small impact on any individual consumer from a sales tax perspective, only costing someone less than 2.5 pennies on a $10 purchase. So imagine going to Starbucks, buying 2 cups of coffee, and basically it impacts you by 2.3 pennies at that point. But yet for the Sheriff's Office, it has a significant impact because as we impact staffing, we exponentially increase our ability to keep our personnel safe while they're doing their jobs, both on patrol and also in the detention facility as well. And certainly for me, as being a past first-line supervisor and mid-level manager of patrol resources, I can certainly recall a number of events where limited personnel made getting through some serious calls somewhat dicey, if you will, from a safety perspective. One in particular that I recall just recently, I was the watch commander for the shift and was responsible for really all the patrol assets that were working that evening. And we had a deputy that was involved in a critical incident out east. And his radio transmissions were him coming across the air and requesting immediate assistance and the fact that shots had been fired. And one thing that you learn after working in patrol, even for a short amount of time, you can tell by differences in voice inflections when someone is really in trouble. And I could certainly tell from these radio transmissions that that deputy needed help right away, and it was a very tense moment for him. And I can remember responding from some distance away and knowing for myself, even under emergency driving conditions, it was going to take me 25 to 30 minutes to get there. So I was being very attentive to the radio, trying to figure out which unit was probably closest and how far he was from that particular event. And I remember kind of my heart sinking a bit when I realized that our closest car was probably 10 to 15 minutes away from that event, again, even under emergency driving conditions, knowing myself, having been in different emergency situations, that a lot can happen within a few seconds, let alone 10 to 15 minutes. And thinking to myself how long it must have felt for that deputy who needed the assistance, knowing that we were that far away. And I remember repeated radio transmissions during that response, that deputy asking for basically updates. Hey, how close are you now? When will you be here? And again, just hearing the anxiety in his voice throughout that response. So one of those situations where as a first-line supervisor and mid-manager, we take our job seriously from the perspective of getting our personnel home safely each and every night, almost from a motherly or fatherly type approach. And so when I found myself in that situation, again, your heart kind of sinks because you don't want to have to share that ultimate bad news with any family member, that their family member wasn't coming home, after their shift. And so as we think about this ballot initiative, the very small impact that it has on any individual consumer, but yet the huge impact that it has on staffing, the safety of our personnel, and our ability to provide a higher level of customer service to all citizens of El Paso County. I sure hope that when people step into the voting booth in November that they'll vote yes on 1A.